call. This is your last one and a courtesy call.
Hey guys, welcome back, or Bomb here, bringing you my very first live deck profile. This is actually going over the decks that were in yesterday's video. We did do Gardevoir versus Golisopod. Today is going to be Gardevoir, tomorrow will be Golisopod, and the day after that will be another video for you guys to watch, another match for you guys to watch between the two decks where I'm piloting Golisopod that time. But this is for people that don't really, people that are interested in the decks and don't like to watch the battle videos either. So I'm going to be going into in-depth today about what I feel about this deck, how I feel like it fares in the meta, and everything like that. So yeah, this is my first time recording something like this, by the way, so if things are like out of center, I'll do my best to fix it on post, but I apologize. The quality does go up after the first time, I promise. But let's go over the first mon. We're doing, how do I do this? What's the best way to do this? We have 4 Ralts. Where do I put them? There we go. It doesn't really matter what Ralts you use. I know the new set has a Ralts Kirlia line that is kind of like okay. They all is pretty much the same thing. They all have the same HP, same retreat, same resistance. The attacks are slightly different, but other than that, I don't think it really matters too much. But we do play 4 Ralts because we're playing, of course, Gardevoir, and we do play a 3-line of Kirlia. I am gonna, oh, no, super professional, right? That's my deck box falling. So I play a 4-3-3 line of Gardevoir GX. Now I am playing a very heavy line of Kirlia. You'll see later as the video goes on why I'm playing so many Kirlia. Also, let's see if I can bring this up while still keeping in the video. I don't know if I can zoom out any more than I can. That's as much as I can. I want to put down more Pokemon down there. I'll be able to put the whole deck down, but I don't know how realistic that is. Alright, but yeah, I am playing a very heavy line of Kirlia because in this deck you want to evolve a lot. There's a lot of evolving, especially when you combine things with Acerola, so that you do want to make sure that you always have your pieces to evolve all the way to full. You'll be seeing a lot of heavy evolution line in this deck. I feel like it's super important because Acerola is such a good card in this deck. I am also playing 1 Gallade. Oh yeah, for those of you that don't know, let me go over everything too. Gardevoir is a really great card. Having the ability to attach its ability is attach a fairy energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Doesn't matter where it is on the field, doesn't matter what Pokemon you attach it to. Once per turn you get an extra attachment essentially, as long as it's a fairy energy. So that does stack, so you can get up to 3 extra attachments in this deck on top of your DCE attachments. Its attack does do 30 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, so you can see the synergy there. And its GX attack is actually great too. Shuffle 10 cards from your discard pile back into your deck. It's great against great late game whenever you want to replenish your supplies. It's great against Gardevoir whenever you want to put your items back in the deck in case they're hitting for too big of numbers. It's a great GX attack. I've seen it used very efficiently, very effectively, and I'm a huge fan of it. I'm also playing 1 Gallade EX, or 1 Gallade, not EX or anything like that. It's just another card to add to the deck because might as well, right? It all evolves from Kirlia. It's all the same thing. Gallade is a great addition into this deck. Having Premonition, having Sensitive Bait. For those of you that don't know, Premonition lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can rearrange them in any order you want, so it controls your top deck game. As well as Sensitive Blade doing 130 damage if you played a supporter that turn. Choice Band's 160, which is great, and it pairs really well with the engine of the deck, which is going to be a hold on, let me see if I can fix this. A 2/2 line of Remoraid and Octillery. Once again, in this format, without VS Seekers or anything like that, I feel like it's crazy important to have these cards. Octillery is great late game because it prevents you from being end down to 1 or 2 or something like that. It's great early game to get you set up because you do have a stage 2 deck. So having a stage 2 deck means you want to set up as much as possible, as easily as possible, and this definitely helps you do that. Oh man, it's hard to tell what's in and on non-frame with this camera. This should be good though. All right, I'm also playing standard 2 Tapu Leles. Honestly, like, I've been considering bumping the counts up to 3 in most decks, but 2 works for now. The deck is a little bit tight, of course, because you are playing a stage 2 deck. I will be talking about potential changes you can make to the deck as well, potential text and stuff like that. But for now, 2 Lele seem to do really well. Lele is also a great attacker in this deck. You do play the DCE. You can attach energies to Lele using Gardevoir, so you can hit those numbers even without a Gardevoir, without too many Gardevoirs being set up. And I'm also trying this out, and this is a card that's definitely removable if you don't like it. I'm trying out a one of Diancie. I'm actually a really big fan of it. Whenever I was playtesting, I've gotten myself to lead it a lot and have it in the back as an evolution card whenever I don't have a Gardevoir set up yet. Its attack is, for 1 fairy energy, you can choose one of your Pokemon and evolve it. So I've been put in positions to where early game I want to be able to evolve a bunch of my Ralts into Kirlias. That way the following turn I can evolve them into Gardevoirs. That way I don't have to use my rare candies. I'm not forced to dig as heavily. I can even evolve my Remoraid's into Octilleries from the back, or my Kirlias into Gardevoirs or Gallade. A lot of the time you just kind of... That's weird. Anyways, ignore the background noise. A lot of the time you're spending the beginning of the game just setting up, and Diancie's a huge asset in that aspect. All right, on to the supporters. We are playing standard for Sycamore. We don't have any more VS Seekers, so you need as many Sycamores as possible. And because I'm playing Octillery, I'm a huge advocate of playing only 3 ends in Octillery decks, unless you have the room to play 4 ends. So I am playing 4 Sycamores, 3 ends. Of course, you can always remove a Diancie and add a 4th end. Diancie's kind of like a luxury card more than anything, just to keep something like that in mind. Now, these are AZs. They're supposed to represent Acerola, so keep that in mind. I am playing 3 Acerola in this version. At first, I was toying around with 2, but whenever I was playtesting in that video, I accidentally had a 3rd Acerola instead of a Rescue Stretcher, and I found it to be a lot better that way. Acerola is huge because you have 230 HP, which, although it's on the low end of a stage 2 deck, or stage 2 GX deck, it's still on the high end of HP in general, meaning that you can actually dodge a lot of Okos. And when you're dodging Okos, you can just Acerola, because your damage, you bring back the Gardevoir as well as all the energies attached to you. You usually have Kirlias or Ralts or rare candies in your hand, or more Gardevoirs on the bench or something like that in those situations. And then you can just re-evolve everything, put the Ralts back down, and because you have the ability to attach extra energies, those energies in your hand that you put a bunch of in your hand from playing the Acerola, you can just attach them and use the abilities to attach again and again and again. So you're actually not clunking up your deck too much by doing the Acerola play, which is the issue with Acerola in stage 2, right? Because then you have to re-evolve again. But in this deck, where you're evolving a lot anyways, and you have the ability to attach a bunch of extra energies, it works really, really well. I was really skeptical about it, but I'm not changing it after that. It was really, really well. It worked really, really well in testing. I'm also playing 3 Guzmas. That is, of course, a staple. Everybody should be playing 3 Guzmas in their deck, unless you just don't need to play Guzmas in general. It's a Lysander plus a switch with Fairy Garden. With this deck being able to run Fairy Garden, you have plenty of space as far as you have plenty of way to switch around your Pokemon. So it's a very safe card to play. Not to mention you can always attach energies to a different Gardevoir or to multiple Gardevoirs. Everything does have, I believe, 1 or 2 retreat cost too, which is great because it's not actually too high. You can attach DCs for retreating and things like that. Other cards I'm playing, I am playing a 1 of Bridget as well. So Bridget's just good. I mean, it's a broken card really. Turn 1 Bridget is phenomenal. I'm gonna see if I can scoot everything over to put the rest of the cards here on frame. All right, cool. Hopefully this works out. I am playing 3 Fairy Garden. I would play 4, but space is just an issue. I'm a fan of 3 Fairy Gardens anyways. It gets the job done. Fairy Gardens gives anything with fairy energies for your retreat. What can you say, right? I have more item cards that I haven't showed off. Oh yeah, I'm going on to the items. That's right. All right, cool. All right. As far as item cards go, I am playing 3 choice bands. Once again, I prefer to play 4, but space of the deck is an issue. So I am playing 3. I am playing 3 choice bands. Just choice bands helps a lot with math. Man, there's so much noise with that phone in the background. I apologize, guys. I'm playing 2 field blowers. Once again, this is another thing that you can play around with. I like 2 field blowers. I don't like my abilities being turned off, and Gardevoir is still going to be a threat in the format, and this is how I get around it. 2 field blowers is strong, 2 field blowers is consistent, and 2 field blowers is what I like. Now, this is another thing that I'm probably not going to change unless I really want to add something unique to the deck, and that is 4 rare candy. I know what you're thinking. 3 Kirlias, 4 rare candies, even a Diancie. that's really heavy, it's really unnecessary. Well, the thing is, I'm a huge fan of it. Because of the Acerola, being able to bounce back the Pokemon into your hand, you constantly have evolution options. Whether that's late game rare candies to evolve your Ralts into Gardevoirs the following turns, whether that's Diancie into evolution, whether that's having Kirlias and just manually evolving with time. Rare candies really helps you with preserving your Pokemon while constantly attacking with Gardevoir. If you guys saw in that video, right? Even though I was being hit for practically 190 every turn, and there's a couple games that did it off screen as well, where I was getting hit for 190 by Golisopod every turn. The Golisopod could never really get a knockout because I constantly Acerola'd and evolved into a new Gardevoir before they can get another knockout. So I'm a huge fan of this. I'm also playing, of course, standard 4 Ultra Ball. I don't know why that wasn't on top. Deck is already organized. From there, it's just energies. Very, very standard stuff. You're playing 4 DCEs because it's DCE. There's not enough room on screen, so I'm just gonna throw it right here. And I also bumped the camera, so hopefully I didn't off center it. 4 DCEs, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see if I can line this up here. 8 fairy energy. Put it all right here, right? Does that look fine? Is it noticeable? Whatever. You know, people don't have to look at the end of the video. They can just actually watch the whole video. Yeah, just 8 fairy energy. So, yeah, there you go. 8 fairy energy. But that's my deck list. How I feel about the deck. I feel like the deck is very strong. It's just like Mega Mewtwo, right? Mega Mewtwo never hit for weakness. If you guys remember Mega Mewtwo from the last format. It never hit for weakness, but it was still one of the best decks in the format because it could hit big numbers and avoid knockouts with damage change. Well, it's very similar to that, but you have more potential attachments per turn, potentially, of course. There was still Mega Turbo. But you have a good draw engine with Octillery. You have Gallade as an option, which is a non-EX attacker, so whenever Safeguard cards come out, like that Alolan Ninetales cards or that Hoopa from Shining Legends, you have Gallade that can attack as well to get around that. And it can OHKO both of them, so that's really good. You have Diancie to help you evolve, and in this format where the format's definitely slowing down, I'm a huge fan of it. And being able to avoid OHKOs is so big. Being able to just avoid getting knocked out is huge. Acerola is a broken card. Guzma is also great. Being able to switch around your Pokemon. You're not stuck to a Spirit Link. That way you can play things like Choice Band as well. So you have the damage potential. You easily 2-hit KO pretty much anything in the format right now, especially things that play heavy energies. And as far as where it fits in the format, nothing really gets hit by Fairy. If Noivern becomes big, Noivern GX, which is the item lock Noivern, if that ever becomes a big deck, this will be a good way to beat it because you just beat it. Especially in this one where you're playing Diancie and 3 Kirlia line, you're not relying on rare candy. So even if they do early game item lock you, you're not too worried about it as long as you can just evolve your Pokemon. Decks of this deck is weak to. Potentially Volcanion, because Volcanion is very fast early game. It can get big OHKOs with Steam Up, especially if they play Ho-Oh, although you are relying a lot on charging up a Ho-Oh, playing the Kiawe, which ends their turn. And then they have to either get two Steam Ups, I believe, which is, 60 extra damage, or they have to Choice Band 1 Steam Up. So they're still relying on a bit, but yeah, the matchup's not great. But because they're attaching so many energies to a Pokemon, you get very easy knockouts on those Pokemon, especially if they're not playing Fighting Fury Belt. You do lose to Metagross, which is unfortunate. Of course, it depends on who sets up first because you get the knockouts on Metagross as well. But it's interesting, right? Because in this meta, we have this deck that's good, and then there's Metagross that beats it, and then Volcanion beats Metagross, and then Water decks beat Volcanion, such as Greninja, Ninetales, Lapras, and then Golisopod beats Lapras and Greninja, and then Volcanion beats Volcanion. And it's just this big circle of so many different decks, so that I feel like the format's very, very healthy. I'm very excited about it. Let me know what you feel about the deck, what changes you would make. I'm a huge fan of the energy count. At first, I was trying to think about adding more energy, but then I realized I love the way the energy count is. There's no recursion in the deck, such as Super Rod or Rescue Stretcher, and that's because we have Gardevoir's GX attack. You can shuffle everything back in mid-game, late game. So because of that GX attack being as powerful as it is, because 10 cards is a lot of cards. Being able to shuffle 10 back in is really strong. So you can put back your supporters, your energy count, your Pokemon if they ended up getting knocked out. I like it. Of course, I still have to do more testing against different decks, such as Volcanion, such as Greninja. Just want to try out how my bad matchups are and see if there's anything I could really do to fix them. But regardless, this is the deck that we have right now. You will see probably a more updated version of the deck whenever I do my PTCGO video over it, whenever the set releases. But that'll be it, guys. Drop a like, subscribe, share, all that good jazz. Tomorrow will be the Golisopod video, and then the day after that will be another match between Golisopod and Gardevoir, but this time I'll be piloting Golisopod instead of Gardevoir, and my buddy Dev will be piloting Gardevoir. Drop a like, subscribe, share, all that good jazz, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.